If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer.
A moment of history. Barack Obama is the first black president of America. Millions come out to celebrate a new era in the American dream.
I was glad, I was happy, you know. It turned out the way it should have turned out.
I'm so excited because we are going to change the world.
He promised change, they voted for change, and America and the world will never be the same again. It was an historic end to a watershed election. Hundreds of supporters celebrated outside the White House behind me here as America rejects the old and prepares to usher in the new. A community that dared to dream. Just 40 years after segregation, black Americans see their hopes fulfilled. Dignified at the end, John McCain bows out as President Bush offers his own congratulations.
This moment is especially uplifting for a generation of Americans who witnessed the struggle for civil rights with their own eyes. 4 decades later, see a dream fulfilled.
And what does it mean for the world? We look at the challenges ahead. Good evening from Washington and welcome to this special edition of the Evening News. Today, for generations of Americans, the dream was finally realized. For the first time, a black man will be occupying the White House behind me. Barack Obama will be the 44th President of the United States. It is a defining moment in this country's history, and who can guess its impact across the globe? It will change the way the world views America and America views the world. It's been a long time coming, said President-elect Obama, but tonight, change has come to America. Riding a wave of voter discontent, his victory was conclusive. So far, in an election that's galvanized the nation, he's won 349 electoral college votes to John McCain's 162. A record number of Americans are believed to have voted, many queuing for hours to play their part in shaping the future of the country where, Obama declared, all things are possible. Robert Moore reports now on a new dawn for America.
What can prepare a man for such a moment? Barack Obama has completed surely one of the world's most astounding political journeys. 47 years old, a one-term senator, the son of a Kenyan student, now with the world at his feet.
If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer.
And with a sureness of touch that is his hallmark, he first thanked his wife and then revealed the gift he had promised to his 2 little girls.
Sasha and Malia, I love you both more than you can imagine, and you have earned the new puppy that's coming with us to the White House.
In 76 days, he becomes America's 44th president, facing daunting challenges, but revealing not the slightest self-doubt.
For even as we celebrate tonight, we know the challenges that tomorrow will bring are the greatest of our lifetime. 2 wars, a planet in peril, the worst financial crisis in a century. Our climb will be steep. We may not get there in 1 year or even in 1 term, but America, I have never been more hopeful than I am tonight that we will get there. I promise you, we as a people will get there.
I'm so happy to be a part of history. And thank you, Jesus.
There are supporters here who thought they would not live to see such a day, and African-American leaders who can barely grasp the symbolism of this moment.
It is a moment of joy. It is a moment of achievement. It's also a moment of America rising to its highest and truest self.
It feels like America did the right thing. It feels like there's a shift in consciousness. It feels like something really big and bold has happened here. Like nothing ever in our lifetimes did we expect this to happen.
And significantly, President-elect Obama also reached out to his critics, suggesting he will govern from the center.
And to those Americans whose support I have yet to earn, I may not have won your vote tonight, but I hear your voices. I need your help, and I will be your president too.
And aware that his election has mesmerized people around the world, he talked of a new beginning beyond the United States.
And all those watching tonight from beyond our shores, from parliaments and palaces, to those who are huddled around radios in the forgotten corners of the world, our stories are singular, but our destiny is shared. And a new dawn of American leadership is at hand.
As his family joined him on the stage, Mr. Obama still kept his emotions in check, aware that he will soon inherit a nation prosecuting 2 wars and facing a deep recession. It is a first family like America has never seen before. Expectations may now be impossibly high, but even his critics acknowledge the scale and the sheer audacity of his achievements.
So, Robert, you witnessed history last night. Give us your own sense of the significance of the moment.
Well, there was a real sense of excitement, a mix of relief, I think, and exhilaration, probably not seen in American politics since JFK's election back in 1960. A real sense of what Kennedy called back then the passing of a torch to a new generation. But behind that jubilation, you could also detect something of a gnawing anxiety, I think posed by a question asked of Obama by the Republicans during the campaign, namely this: what does he really bring to the table beyond his soaring oratory? Remember, he has no executive experience. But I would say this, that he has outfought and outthought 2 remarkable and formidable political operations, Hillary Clinton's and the Republican parties. And if he brings that composure and that sense of self-discipline to the White House, he might be equal to the challenges, and it could be quite an administration.
All right, Robert, in Chicago, thank you very much indeed. Now, for black Americans, today wasn't just a political victory. It was the end of centuries spent struggling against slavery and racial prejudice. Some of the worst bigotry can still be remembered by millions of older Americans, including 106-year-old Ann Nixon Cooper, whose determination to cast her vote became a central part of Mr. Obama's victory speech. As James Mates now reports, she and many others are celebrating their dreams fulfilled.
Okay, y'all, we got our first black president.
They'd known all evening what was coming, but only when they saw it in black and white on the network broadcasts could they really start to believe what had happened. It is truly a wonderful moment to be young and black in America. Ain't no stopping us now, they sang, and there wasn't. Spontaneously, thousands of African Americans ran from student halls and apartment buildings onto the streets of Atlanta. This was the night when finally they felt power and politics was about them and for them. It's well into the early hours now, and the people of Atlanta are not getting a lot of sleep. You cannot overestimate how much it means to these people. The generations they felt their voices have not been heard. How that has changed tonight.
A long time coming, but we know change done come.
Not forgotten in the euphoria were those who had fought so long to bring them this far. The Reverend Al Sharpton leading a candlelit vigil at the tomb of Martin Luther King. For King's daughter, this was a day her father had foreseen.
My father was a prophet, and so I certainly think that he saw well into the future and saw this kind of day coming. I mean, I think the sacrifice and the suffering that they went through, I don't think he would have gone through that if he didn't believe that this day was possible.
And Barack Obama himself spoke last night of one African-American woman for whom this came not a moment too soon.
Ann Nixon Cooper is 106 years old. After 106 years in America, through the best of times and the darkest of hours, she knows how America can change.
Born just a generation after slavery, for much of her life, Ann Nixon Cooper had not been allowed to vote in the American South because she was a woman and because she was black. She did live long enough to vote for a president of her own race and knows what that meant.
Get out and vote. Show your power. You got power.
And as they celebrated long into last night, there was, sleeping in one Atlanta doorway, a reminder that the issue of race is not dead, that this is the beginning of something, not the end. James Mates, ITV News, Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, the outgoing President George Bush also acknowledged the historic nature of Barack Obama's victory. Mr. Bush had called his successor to add his congratulations and offer his full cooperation during their handover period.
All Americans can be proud of the history that was made yesterday. Across the country, citizens voted in large numbers. They showed a watching world the vitality of America's democracy and the strides we have made toward a more perfect union.
Well, despite George Bush's words of congratulation, the Republican Party has been torn apart by the Obama bandwagon. But their beaten candidate, John McCain, was dignified in defeat, urging his party to show goodwill towards the next president. Bill Neely reports now on McCain, the candidate with no regrets.
In his hometown of Phoenix, yesterday's man, the Phoenix did not rise. John McCain conceded defeat early and to the victor offered his deep respect.
I had the honor of calling Senator Barack Obama to congratulate him.
Hundreds jeered. McCain would have none of it.
This is an historic election, and I recognize the special significance it has for African Americans and for the special pride that must be theirs tonight.
The crowd was witness to defeat, but to history and humility too.
We fought as hard as we could, and though we fell short, the failure is mine, not yours. Every candidate makes mistakes, and I'm sure I made my share of them. But I won't spend a moment of the future regretting what might have been.
Tears were flowing. Barack Obama, McCain said, would be his president. Some were horrified.
But offering our next president our goodwill and earnest effort. This campaign was and will remain the great honor of my life.
North Dakota.
Their night began in hope, but the old warrior McCain knew the dance would end if he didn't steal Pennsylvania from the Democrats and hold Ohio. The drumbeat of history rolled for him when he lost both. The crowd weren't being told the bad news, but their faces told the story. It was over.
Obama did a very good job of linking John McCain to President Bush, who's a very unpopular president right now.
I'm scared.
Why?
Because I don't really understand the direction the country is going right now.
Where do you think it's going?
I'm thinking it's going towards socialism, which scares me.
So after this historic defeat and this wake comes the inquest and the finger pointing. This party has lost control of the White House and of Congress. It now faces years in the political wilderness. One era is clearly over.
Frustration, anger, also a little bit of relief now that I'm out of here.
Seriously, many see this woman as the future of the party. Sarah Palin wasn't allowed to speak last night. It was John McCain's goodbye. His favourite book is For Whom the Bell Tolls. It told for him. Bill Neely, ITV News, Arizona.
Well, Barack Obama has already made clear his priorities: the worst financial crisis in a century, global warming, and 2 wars that America and Britain are fighting and dying in together. Just today it was revealed that a British soldier from the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Gurkha Rifles, has been killed in Afghanistan. Our political editor Tom Bradby assesses the challenges ahead.
2 wars, a planet in peril, the worst financial crisis in a century.
And that is before he's even got started. Much as many Americans may have been euphoric at his victory today, there's no doubt that this is a president-elect with one hell of an in tray, and how he deals with it is bound to impact on every one of us. First up, of course, the economy. To put it bluntly, we are looking to the US now to lead us out of recession.
I think that the most pressing international issue is economic, getting the global economy going again, the American economy growing again, and I'm sure that that will come on to the new president's desk straight away.
Item 2, Iraq and Afghanistan. Obama wants to pull out of the former, which he views as an unjust war, to commit in a bigger way to the latter. He's had some pretty harsh things to say about Pakistan too, which will give him an early diplomatic headache. But the potential is huge. On Iran, for example, he's promised talks without preconditions, which could help head off a looming conflict over that country's nuclear ambitions. With his worldwide appeal and fresh mandate, he has a unique chance to pressurize Israelis and Palestinians into a lasting settlement, and therefore to undermine extremists everywhere, and of course to lean heavily on rogue regimes right across the globe.
If he organizes the White House and his administration and his policies in the way that he's organized brilliantly his campaign, he's going to be a major force to play with. Maybe that's not entirely welcome in Moscow, it may not be wholly welcome in Beijing, but I think in most capitals around the world it will be welcomed.
And then, of course, there is climate change. America has often dragged its feet on the issue, but Obama insists he will be different. He has promised nothing less than to change the world. An awful lot is riding on one slim set of shoulders.
Well, let's go back now to our international editor, Bill Neely, who's close to John McCain's ranch in Arizona. Bill, I've lost count of the number of US elections you've covered, but surely none quite as significant as this one.
None at all, Mark. In 1992, I was with Bill Clinton when he defeated, if you like, the World War II generation. Now the torch has passed to Barack Obama's generation, but you know it goes way, way beyond that. America this morning shifted on its axis, rather like 9/11. This is seismic. It's generational, it's racial, it's political. Southern states voting for a black Democrat, and the Reagan conservative era over. It's international. Barack Obama favors diplomacy. He opposed the Iraq war. This sends a message to the whole world. But it's head spinning, yes, but now the hard part. The wars, the recession, the huge expectations, the great challenges. I fear Barack Obama's honeymoon may be short, but yes, a new era here today.
All right, Bill Neely, thank you very much indeed. Now, for the people of one corner of Africa, Barack Obama's victory was also very much their own. Crowds danced and rejoiced on the dirt roads in and around the Kenyan village of Kigelo, Barack Obama's ancestral home where his grandmother still lives. Juliet Bremner witnessed the family pride from afar.
Dawn broke in Africa to the sound of joy. This was the village of Kogelo reveling in an Obama victory. It had been a long, cold night, but no one was going to abandon this vigil until the results confirmed Barack Obama had his place in history. Above all, they wanted to be with the new first family of Kogelo. They beat a path to the Obama homestead. His grandmother, Mama Sarah, forgot her 86 years and joined in the party. The man himself couldn't be there, so they simply improvised. Mama Sarah, apparently undaunted by her new status as international celebrity. She told us that she already had everything she wanted. Her hope was that all Kenyans would now feel the benefits. There is a worrying belief that the dusty streets of Kogelo will now be paved with gold. Attempts to temper these expectations are brushed aside.
These people are from the Luo tribe. Their brother has just become the most important man in the Western world. It brings huge prestige to this village, Kogelo, and they will celebrate until they have no more breath left to celebrate with.
I was also shown a letter of hope written by Kogelo schoolgirls to the new president. It expresses the dreams of a nation.
We see as Kenyans, if he can manage to become a very powerful president in the world, then we also can make it, because we see that he's one of us.
Mama Sarah has warned that Barack must put the business of America before his Kenyan family, but that doesn't dent the pride in a distant land. Juliet Bremner, ITV News, Kogelo.
And the main headlines now from the main story today. Barack Obama is to be the next US president. George Bush has described it as a triumph of the American story.
The headlines in London. A massive gas explosion at an industrial estate in West Welwyn Garden City has left 2 people unaccounted for. A dozen fire engines were sent to the site. And an investigation has been launched after 2 babies died at a brand new state-of-the-art maternity wing at St Mary's in Paddington.
Well, the scale of Barack Obama's victory cannot be underestimated. Just 40 years ago, parts of the United States were still segregated. Today, that past has been consigned to the history books forever.
When the history of this country is written, this is the moment black Americans will say things really changed. The moment the fight was won. The moment they finally cried, we've done it.
And now I can tell my grandson and my granddaughter that they too can be president.
I caught up with the mayor of Washington, smart, savvy, and cut from the same cloth as Obama.
As much as Jack Kennedy turned the lights on for this country in the early 60s, Barack Obama will do that in 2008.
And what about this for an image? The first family elect. Wife Michelle and 2 young daughters, Sasha and Malia, whose burden now is to represent the hopes of a new political age.
When Martin Luther King made his famous "I Have a Dream" speech from these very steps, could he really have imagined a black man becoming president of America quite so soon? But it's one thing for Barack Obama to fulfill that dream. It's quite another to fulfill the expectations of millions of people here in America and hundreds of millions more around the world.
But that's for the future. For now, there's a party going on. This one right outside the White House. They were young, mostly white, and proof of how Obama is already transforming lives here.
And that is the evening news on a day when history was made. In just a few weeks' time, Barack Obama will walk into the building behind me, the first black American president in the White House, and a new era in the most powerful nation in the world. From me and from all the team here, bye-bye.
Yes, madam. And that price includes your no-claims discount. Shall we sort that out for you? Great. OK. Well, it won't take long. I just need a couple of your details.
ITV National Weather, sponsored by eShore Car Insurance.
Hello there, very good evening to you. It's going to be largely dry across the UK for the Guy Fawkes Night celebrations, a cloudy and mild picture generally. But however, over the next few days, we are going to be seeing a real step change in our weather. Gone are going to be the gloomy and grey November conditions, replaced by some brightness, but also some rain at times, and also some much windier conditions as well. And here's what's going on. We're going to see a series of Atlantic frontal systems sweeping in across the UK, starting with tomorrow night. Just a real barrage of them moving in one after the other, giving us a whole load of rain at times, in between some brightness. But by the time we get to Sunday, you can see we've got this system sitting out across the centre of Ireland and a real squeeze on the isobars, and this indicates some very windy conditions indeed. In fact, we could be seeing some gale force winds down the exposed northern and western coastlines. We'll of course keep you updated on that situation, and also we are going to be looking at some much colder conditions on the cards for all of us through next week. So let's get the detail then. Starting with tonight, it is going to be a fairly mild night, thank goodness, with some temperatures staying up into double figures for some, and mostly dry, as I mentioned, although we are going to see a little bit of light rain and drizzle mostly down the eastern fringes. And so tomorrow, a fairly slow start to the day, hill fog in places, and once again light rain and drizzle mostly down the central and eastern parts, with the best chance of any brightness out towards the west. And then into the afternoon, I think a little bit more in the way of brightness across the central areas, the drizzle tending to drift away northwards. From a temperature point of view, not looking too bad at all, fairly average for the time of year, but as I mentioned, over the next few days becoming much more unsettled, rain at times and gales in the north at west. I'll see you later on. Have a great evening.
ITV National Weather, sponsored by eShore.
Meet the GMTV family, also known as the Charltons. Like most British families, they're feeling the pinch. Next week, they visit Downing Street to breakfast with Brown and ask the questions concerning them and every family throughout the country. Join the Charltons and the Prime Minister, live from number 10, Monday on GMTV.
We've cut our prices throughout the day, so calling a mobile from your BT landline could cost you 50% less per minute than using a pay-as-you-go mobile.
Hi, Jane.
Adam. To benefit from BT Mobile Saver, call 0800 200 700.
There's a place near me that makes the most amazing pies. Apparently, they only use prime Aberdeen Angus beef. Then, they add a splosh of ruby port and crumble in some Tuxford and Tebbit Stilton for good measure. Oh, and then there's the pastry, made with proper English butter. Absolutely smashing. Oh, the name of the place? M&S, of course.
Introducing the Nissan Qashqai Plus 2, with 7 seats, more space to play with the city.
All your Armani diamonds from men, the new fragrance.
Notorious, the new women's fragrance from Ralph Lauren, now playing everywhere.
Kettle chips.
No artificial flavours.
No added MSG. Hand cooked. Can I have another one?
Kettle chips. No wonder they taste so good.
Are you paying too much for your car insurance? People on average save 33% on their premiums by visiting moneysupermarket.com. That's why we're the #1 price comparison site.
That's the car insurance sorted. What's next?
Whatever you're looking for, moneysupermarket.com compares the market in seconds to get you the best deal. So if you want to cut the cost of your car insurance, visit moneysupermarket.com now. Moneysupermarket.com, the price comparison site.
Sunshine sky, there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow. Smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly.
Contactless technology from Barclaycard, making payments simpler.
Can you get me a towel?
Will the Websters be reunited with Rosie, and how long can Becky keep it going? We're off to Corrie at 7:30. OK, so Lily did wrong, but she doesn't really deserve feeling this bad, does she?
You know what?
That mulled wine fragrance really puts me in the mood. For writing our cards. Mulled Wine by Airwick.
Check up on me.
with who they can. Frankie Nouble up front, once a Chelsea.
That's right, he makes his first start today. Ex-Chelsea, as I say, they're missing Carlton Cole, they're missing a big physical presence up there. They can certainly do with Carlton, he's scored goals from the season as well. But I think Kovac and Barami, they need to mix it with Song and Ramsey today. They can't let them settle on the ball. They need to get the crowd up, get tackles in, similar to what Leeds did at United, really. If West Ham are going to get anything today, they really need to get in amongst Arsenal from very early on.
And there's the Arsenal team, Andy. Again, he's got pretty strong full back four.
Yeah, strong back four. Of course, Gallas for Milan there. We were concerned that maybe there'd be significant changes to the Arsenal. There wasn't. Again, we look forward to seeing the likes of Ramsey and Wilshere, of course, in that very fluid sort of midfield there and front runners.
You would say, would you not, that Arsenal start strong favourites, but then you would have said that at Old Trafford a few hours ago. That is the FA Cup.
That's right, and anything can happen. And as we saw early on in the season, West Ham came back from 2-0 down against Arsenal. Arsenal were absolutely coasting the game. They came back 2-0 to 2-2. They'll be buoyed by that result as well. But Arsenal do start favourites. We know how good Arsenal are. They're missing a couple of players themselves, Fabregas and Bentner, but they've got more than enough to cope.
Yes, indeed. We're looking forward to this one. Decent turnout on a chilly winter's afternoon at Upton Park. They will believe, they must believe, they are in with a shout here. Arsenal, the visitors, a London derby, the third round of the Cup, coming your way.
Sponsored by Bet365.
At Burger King, we know there's only one thing that really matters. Taste. The 100% flame-grilled Whopper. Substance over style.
Choose Harvey's. Choose a sale. An up to half-price sale. Relax on this sofa with a special launch price of only $199. Snooze on this better than half-price double recliner sofa for $399. Get this dining table and 4 chairs for $599. Choose Harvey's that has it all at up to half price. Choose up to 4 years free credit and buy now. Choose the sale with up to half price off everything. Many offers end Monday 8 p.m. Choose Harvey's.
The Aer Lingus Jetaway Sale from Gatwick to Europe. Take off from January to March with reduced fares to destinations like Eindhoven from $19.99, Vienna from $24.99, or sun-soaked Tenerife from $39.99 and Faro from just $29.99. All prices are one way, including taxes and charges. The Aer Lingus Jetaway Sale ends Monday the 18th of January, so you'll have to be quick. Book now at airlingus.com.
The Carcraft Big Sale is now on. Over 4,000 cars in group stock are all down in price, including Fords, Vauxhalls, Peugeots, BMWs, Audis and many, many more. Don't miss the Carcraft Big Sale, now on at Chertsey, Enfield and Lakeside.
With SwiftCover.com, you can get a car insurance quote in just 60 seconds, so you get more time.
To rock!
It's 100% online.
Turn
Your
it up!
documents are stored online. There's no waiting in line, so you get more time.
To party!
Actually, I was thinking of playing a little golf.
Golf sucks, man!
With SwiftCover.com, you get a lot more me time.
Yeah, I love me! Oh, me!
Get a life. Get SwiftCover.
Sponsored by Bet365.
We are in East London for this clash of two Premier League clubs in the third round of the FA Cup, sponsored by E.ON. Arsenal and their changed white strip. Don't forget, we'll bring you the live fourth round draw directly after this match. Leeds in it, Manchester United uninvolved now. First of all, though, this tie, and a warm welcome to your commentary team here. Jim Beglin, and first Peter Drury.
Matt, good afternoon, thank you. 2010 at the Bowling Ground. A new year which begins amid insecurity, instability. West Ham folk barely dare speculate about the end of the month, never mind the year or the decade. The reality is tough here. So today, the escape, the FA Cup fantasy, a one-off shot at Arsenal without the pressure for points. a chance to stay at home and get away from it all. An East End New Year rung in by the Bow Bells and the Bubbles. Since Trevor Brooking, Willie Young, Paul Allen and all of that. A cup occasion which is at once nostalgic, evocative, immediate and relevant. 10 weeks ago precisely, these two produced one of the most compelling games of the Premier League season so far, in which West Ham improbably made up a 2-goal deficit. Now these players take their turn in a cup rivalry which, over the last generation plus, encompasses not just that Brooking twitch header, but Alan Taylor's quarter-final goals at Highbury in '75, Anelka, Hartson and a penalty shootout here in '98. There hasn't been a Duff Cup tie between these two. West Ham start the year leading to an almost unreasonable extent on two senior players for whom 2010 may offer much. Goalkeeper Robert Green and former Arsenal centre-half Matthew Upson both aspire to serving their country in the summer. First, their club needs them in the absence, among several others, of Cole, Parker, Noble, Gavidon, Dyer, Elunga. It needs them to lead. Around them, much youth here, limited experience. Debutant left-back in Switzerland's Fabio De Prela, and a full debutant up front in London's Frank Noble. In fairness, Arsenal are without some of their leading lights as well, Walcott, Van Persie, Fabregas and more, taking which into account Arsene Wenger, notwithstanding an important league appointment on Wednesday, goes strong, both first-choice centre-halves, Alex Song before departing for Africa, and then three teenagers, the Spaniard Fran Merida on FA Cup debut, Aaron Ramsey, who's played in the final, and Jack Wilshere, who turned 18 on New Year's Day. Referee returning to the FA Cup after a season away is Mark Clattenburg. Both sides depending to a fair degree on the zest of youth. West Ham in particular, 18-year-old Frank Noble, England under-19 international who grew up at Chelsea and moved east just last summer. Huge day for him, filling the boots of Carlton Cole. For Arsenal, Jack Wilshere, just 18. He grew up a West Ham fan, a one-time worshipper here of Paolo Di Canio. Talk that he may be going out on loan before too very long. And when asked where he'd like to come, Upton Park was at the top of his list. Gianfranco Zola, amid all the tough reality of his and his club's predicament, remains a cup dreamer, still evangelical about a competition he won twice as a player. Arsene Wenger hasn't won it for 5 years, hasn't won anything for 5 years, but he has been to 5 finals and he's due one again. January 2010, a month which matters much one way and another in the lives of West Ham, guilty of a false start in the lives of West Ham and of Arsenal. Each reluctantly or otherwise may have to be involved in the transfer market. Each is in desperate pursuit of points in the Premier League for different reasons. Both, though, are partial to some fun in the Cup. So, Jim Beglin, how do you expect them to approach it?
Well, West Ham have had to alter their approach of late and been a little more protective defensively, and I guess they'll be looking to reproduce what they managed against Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. Peter contained very well, got a good draw. Whatever Arsenal side goes out, you can't sit back and watch, and I don't think West Ham will be planning to either today.
This is Sanya for Ramsey. Close to whom was Berami. First touch in a First team situation for Fabio Di Prella, the Swiss under-19 international, who deputises for Arita Elunga at left-back for West Ham today. And first involvement too as a starting player for West Ham. Number 24 there, number 18-year-old Frank Nubel, who has been involved in 5 Premier League games, always though as a late sub. 5 Premier League games, his total pitch time 14 minutes. Forward, Sanya, part of a pretty well first choice back four for Arsenal, given their injury absentees. And now Wilshere, stabbed away by Upson, done by Nubel for Stanislas, gathered by Song, involved in his last game for Arsenal before departing to serve his country. The young Spaniard, Silvestre, operating left back today, the only survivor on the field of Arsenal's last FA Cup final. He happened to be playing for Manchester United in that game in 2005. Otherwise, there's no one in the Arsenal side who has represented the club in the final of this competition. For Marlon, involved in the competition for the first time. Eduardo did well to keep the ball. To thread it through, but West Ham threatened to break with Jimenez, and Gallas had to be on his toes.
Well, that's exactly what West Ham will be trying to do today. Just press Arsenal as much as they can, just win it back and then look for that little quick one on the break, and almost then, and just looking at them as well, Peter, I mean, Jimenez is quite advanced up there with Nubel at the moment, so you know, it's adventurous enough in the circumstances for Gianfranco Zola.
Prela, Tompkins, Kovac, taken back by Wilshere and seen back to Fabianski, who keeps goal for Arsenal today, as he did in all domestic cup ties last season, right up to and including the semi-final. This season he played a couple of League Cup ties on the recent Champions League match in Athens.
Just looking again, Peter, sorry about that, but Jimenez has dropped a little bit now, and it seems to be his job is to kind of make sure the ball doesn't go through Alex Song, who obviously likes to get it from his defence and go and build the attacks for Arsenal. And it's just a little bit late, a little bit rash from Di Prella.
Eager tackle by one teenager on another. And the free kick over which for Arsenal is 19-year-old Spaniard Fran Merida. Protecting. The player clearing. Jimenez is furthest forward for West Ham. Stanislas has got beyond him now, so has Nubel. Coming him up from full-back is Faubert.
But just at the moment now, you've got both Diamanti right in the centre and Stanislas, so West Ham have got no width.
Stanislas. Somebody was necessarily strong. Barami wouldn't let him rest. Very much handled. Kovac, he was former winner of the Czech Cup with Sparta Prague. And Franco Zola, twice the winner of the English FA Cup, 1997 and 2000 with Chelsea. Last ever FA Cup tie was a tumultuous quarter-final replay defeat by Arsenal at Stamford Bridge in March 2003. Nubel's won a corner from Vermaelen.
That's good. I mean, I think having him in today, obviously Carlton Cole is hugely missed, but Nubel, big chap against somebody you can hit with the long-range ball. And I think it's important that if West Ham, if he does get a bit detached and West Ham knock it, they've got to get the support into him.
It'll be Diamanti with the corner. Fabianski came and punched. Berami lashed it back in there. And Eduardo lashed it away. Green, out by Vermaelen. leader. And here's Bakary Sagna. Stands less tight to him. Receiving from Ramsey.
Well, we're witnessing what we were expecting. You know, Arsenal just trying to get a feel for it and start working the ball with a little more incision. And West Ham just being organised, keeping the shape and the discipline, winning it back as they've done yet again. Just lost it.
Song for Eduardo. He was busy. Diamante with purpose, Nubel with intent.
Yeah, I think they've just got to be a little careful at times, because we've seen already Stanislas Diamante want to tuck inside. You know, Arsene Wenger likes to get his fullbacks to raid on, can't afford that space to them.
Dispossessed by Kovac, lifted in by Silvestre, and behind sensible by De Prela.
That's that little doubt, Diamante again. You know, can he get tighter to Silvestre and prevent that from coming in?
Marina with the Arsenal corner. Bottle will stand. Mistimed his jump, but made something of a clearance. Wilshere. Green is committed to this, and they've done so with great authority. Huge year ahead for him. And his distribution is canny, and Faubert has set off on a gallop and ended in towards Jimenez. Sagna lifted it away. Kovac went back to base. Turns 30 a fortnight tomorrow. The English goalkeeper was capped more in 2009 than he was. And we're still guessing who's going to be the main man. Kovac. Nubel.
I think Nubel's done well again, Peter. Did well to force the corner a few moments ago, and there was a little apologetic hand went up there from Kovac that he just kind of overdid it, but Nubel did well to keep it.
Diamante. A little fanciful.
You never want to see it going for a throw there. Not a throw, he's obviously just trying to give it a lash, and he's just got to cross it. As a result, it's a slice with the outside of the left foot.
I'll have heard about the FA Cup, read about the FA Cup. Knows that funny things happen, special things happen. Nothing happened for him. To viewers with high definition television, that if you're watching us on Freesat, you can enjoy the match here on ITV1 in high definition by pressing your red button.
And we look again, the closing down from West Ham is excellent between Kovac and Bayrami. And they're going to make Arsenal work for this. I mean, if Arsenal are going to get their passing game going, then they really are going to have to fight for it today.
Has certainly dignified the tie with just about as strong a team as he could reasonably feel. Despite the upcoming game against Bolton, which is so anticipated as that much-mentioned game in hand he has in the Premier League. To those who question his commitment to this competition, he only has to point at 4 winners' medals. Sagna protected the ball, allowing it out for a throw, and then looked up in dismay to find that the throw had been given against him. His judgment on his part. Kaprina takes the throw, and moves it on, and Dallas is glad to see Fabianski come. For Marlon. Ramsey. Ronaldo is onside. Back towards Vela, dealt with by Tompkins. And now Faubert.
That was excellent positioning by Tompkins. He read it really well. Marita just got in around the back, and he's not trying to pick anyone out. He's trying to just drill it across the 6-yard box. Tompkins read it beautifully.
West Ham's selection, incidentally, probably lacks two players you might have expected to see. Jack Collison has been given a rest today. He's played a lot of football recently as a youngish man, and is left out of the 18 altogether. Jonathan Spector also not risked. Here's a Song and Merida. It's a crisp strike and a good gather by Rob Green.
Yeah, good starting position for the goalkeeper, and it's taken a little bounce as well. And Merida just ahead of the goalkeeper, but it's pretty much at him. It's fairly central, and he's not stretched.
Spector's omission, by the way, is explained by the fact that West Ham do have problems at full-back with Ilunga missing. Spector is essentially covering both full-back positions. He had to come in for Ilunga at Spurs on Monday at left-back. He's more regularly a right full-back behind Faubert, and West Ham simply can't afford to lose any more personnel in that position. Song for Sanya. Wilshere. Sanya kept moving. Caprela's struggling to stay with him. And always mobile fullback Bakary Sanya. And by the way, if you are a conspiracy theorist, if you do smell a rat in West Ham's selection by the absence of, for instance, Scott Parker, I can assure you that he is properly injured. Particularly at the start of January when the transfer window's open, people do sometimes put 2 and 2 together and make 5, but people at West Ham pointed out to me that at this time last year West Ham had a cup tie against Barnsley. Same sort of conversations were being held, and when Craig Bellamy was selected, they assumed that being cup tied he wouldn't move on, and he was very quickly a Manchester City player, albeit that City had gone out in the 3rd round as well. But Matthew Upson, who didn't play that day, stayed at West Ham.
I'm sure there's plenty of Hammers fans that are dreading the window just in case they lose another one of their key players.
Eduardo. Kovac keeping at it, Berami there to support. Ramsey couldn't turn sharply enough, and Tompkins asked Nubel to chase, for Marlon got across, and Sylvestre got back to support. Sylvestre, Eduardo, Wilshere, Eduardo make himself half a yard and to win the corner.
Yeah, you know Behrami's that type of dogged character. He's going to stay with you and keep working, as will Kovac. Good strength from Wilshere to hold him off before the block.
Eduardo on the goalkeeper's toes. The FA Cup played an important part in his rehabilitation last season when he scored goals. He's come out to Song. Kovac was close to him. He's hit by Ramsey and got a deflection over the top for another corner.
Very good defending to begin with on the near post by Upson. And, you know, he's trying to get over it. I'm not sure he would have kept it down enough, but Behrami's in the way.
Now behind us in Upton Park, nothing to show. Marina with the Arsenal corner. With the header away from the near post. Song, Ramsey, Vela. Faubert was in the way. Nubel shaken off it by Merida. Behrami had to come across to make sure.
I'm surprised you've said that. Nubel shaken off it by somebody much smaller than him. I mean, it shouldn't have happened. Nubel should have been stronger then, prevented that.
He's a hefty unit, isn't he? You can see him being Carlton Cole's understudy. And by Sanya. As far as Jimenez. Clemente.
Very uncomposed fullback. He didn't need to do that. I think basically it was a case of West Ham just holding on to the ball a while after being under pressure from the set pieces. And just working their way out a bit rotational. And just what you were saying before as well, Peter, about the selection, I don't think anybody would be pointing fingers at Gianfranco Zola. Frankly, bare bones. In fact, saw Alan Taylor down there before, the hero from 75. I thought he was going to get on the bench at one stage.
Here's Eduardo. It's a really good recovering tackle by Fobert. His last involvement in the FA Cup was at Hartlepool last January. Very soon thereafter, he disappeared to Real Madrid and back again. Perfectly timed sliding tackle. Another Arsenal corner, taken again by Merida, headed away by Kovac. Moved on quickly for Diamante, who scuffed his return. Nubel. Jimenez. Old Tompkins has given it straight to Eduardo. And Green had to plunge low to turn it behind and dig the young centre-half out.
Oh, I don't know what Tompkins is thinking of. I mean, he's got a pretty simple ball. He can go over the top, he can go round the player either side, and yet he just goes straight at Eduardo. And this time it is away from Green, and he is stretched. It's a fine, fine stop.
Tompkins established in the West Ham first team now, but still only 20, it's easy to forget. And a few first team miles under his belt. Merida with a corner again, it hits the first man, Nubel at the near post. Diamante got a shove. West Ham might have appreciated the chance to play on with Stanislas, but a free kick was given. Diamante has stolen a few yards. Zola is out on the edge of the field, and Mark Clattenburg is apologising to him. Irritating for a manager who certainly as a player instinctively just wanted to play. So much frustration for him and for Junior Stanislas.
I think Zola would just like to have a little spell now in the opposition half, because, you know, Arsenal have begun to take command, and the passing is a little crisper now, and a couple of efforts at goal. I just think West Ham need a little bit of composure on the ball now.
Diamante's had a go. Here's Stanislas. Couldn't find 6 inches out of which to turn, and Silvestre stole it off his toe. Eduardo, tackle Kovac.
Well, he caught that one much better. I mean, his early attempt, Diamante went for the throw-in, but he really did hit that, and I think there was just a hint of an appeal because it struck Vermaelen. Not sure exactly where it got him, but one or two West Ham players seem to think it was the arm.
Came in hand against Bolton, then a home game against Everton. They go away to Bolton. January ends away at Villa and at home to Manchester United. It's a pivotal month in the existence of both of these clubs, January 2010. Will Arsenal invest? Will West Ham be able to invest? Indeed, will West Ham be able to keep hold of some of their golden assets?
Well, for Arsenal, been a lot of talk about, well, do they need a striker or not? With the goals they're scoring, I'm not sure they do. But Shamak's the one been mentioned a lot. And Vermaelen as well, once Diamante came inside, was a handball. It did strike him on the arm, but I think it would be very, very hard against him if that were a penalty.
Diamante fancies a penalty. He's scored 4 of them this season, including one in each of the last 2 home games. West Ham, extraordinarily, have scored 7 penalties in the Premier League this season. Stanislas.
I think wrong option, Peter. I think he should be looking at... Jimenez was just trying to run around the back of the Arsenal defence, or Nubel. You know, he should be looking to go forward, Stanislas, then. Poor ball inside.
Eduardo. And Ramsey. sport, but Sarah couldn't get there before Stanislas. Looked on by Jimenez. Ruble won't make life easy for Song. Well, thrown's gone Arsenal's way. I'm pretty sure we're close to that. I'm pretty sure it came last off Song. Actually, I think he's given a free kick.
He has, yeah. He felt the charge from Ruble was just a little too robust. Look shoulder to shoulder. Well, that's more like it from Ruble because he has a bit to throw about, size-wise.
18 years old, 6'3". It's tall, not wide.